My family branded Christmas was no place for losers. Then I cut off money, exposed my brother's lies, and walked away free. My family did not invite me to Christmas because it is no place for losers, my brother said. I calmly agreed and stopped funding his children and wife. Now he is going crazy. I was actually looking forward to Christmas this year. For once, I was not scrambling at the last minute to get everything together. By the first week of December, I had bought presents for everyone: my parents, my brother Jacob, his wife Kelly, their kids. I even bought extra, just in case anyone brought unexpected guests. I do not know, I just felt like this year was going to be good. So, I was completely blindsided when, as I stood on my parents' front porch with a bag of wrapped presents in each hand, my mom opened the door and said, "We do not want you here this year." At first, I thought it was some kind of weird joke. I started to laugh a little, but then Jacob's voice cut in from behind her. "This is no place for losers," he said. "You are really starting to wear on all of us." I just stood there, staring at her. My dad was in the background, not saying a word, just looking awkwardly everywhere but at me. My mom looked uncomfortable but did not back away, and Jacob looked downright smug. I felt this onslaught of emotions: confusion, anger, embarrassment. But somehow, I stayed calm. I just nodded, said, "Fine, if that is how you feel," and walked back to my car. But as I sat there in the driveway, staring at the bags of presents in the passenger seat, something inside me changed. No place for losers. Tired of me. Where was this coming from? I had a pretty good idea Jacob was behind it, but I could not figure out why. I had been nothing but generous to him and his family over the years. I had helped pay for his children's school supplies, covered their summer camp fees, even pitched in on his mortgage when things got tight. And now, out of the blue, I am not welcome at Christmas. I decided I was not going to leave just yet. I was going back to the door to get some answers. I left the presents in the car and went back to the door. My parents were still standing there, whispering to each other as if they had not expected me back. Jacob was lounging on the couch, scrolling through his phone, acting as if nothing had just happened. I did not bother to knock. "What is going on?" I asked, stepping inside. "Why am I not welcome at Christmas? What did I do?" Jacob grinned without even looking up from his phone. "You really do not get it, do you? You have been slacking off lately. The kids have barely gotten anything from you this year." I stared at him, stunned. "What are you talking about? I have spent hundreds of dollars on presents for your kids. They have more presents in the car than anyone else." Jacob finally looked at me. "Last year you did more. This year it is like you do not care. It is embarrassing for us, honestly." I turned to my parents, expecting them to say something, maybe defend me or tell Jacob he was out of line. Instead, my mom gave me this awkward smile and said, "But you just bought a new car. You found money for it." For a second, I did not even know how to respond. "The car is on credit," I said, keeping my voice steady. "And even if it was not, how does buying a car suddenly make me responsible for Jacob's kids? They are not my responsibility." "You are the one who makes the most money," Jacob said, leaning back on the couch as if this was all perfectly reasonable. "We are a family. Families help each other. You have always done that." I looked at Kelly, his wife, who was sitting quietly in the corner. She had not said a word, but her face was flushed, and she was staring down at her hands. She looked as if she wanted to disappear. "Is that your reasoning?" I asked. "Because I have been generous in the past. I am now obligated to do so forever, and if I do not, I am a loser?" Jacob shrugged. "If the shoe fits." That was it for me. I took a step back and shook my head. "You know what? You are right. I do not belong here." I looked at my parents. "Enjoy your Christmas." Then I turned to Jacob. "And good luck with those presents, because this loser is done financing your life." I walked out without waiting for an answer. I drove home in silence, gripping the wheel harder than I needed to. I could not wrap my head around it. Was I really the bad guy here? I had gone above and beyond for my family for years, always stepping up when things got tough for Jacob, making sure his children never felt the pinch of his financial struggles. And now, not only was I not welcome at Christmas, I was a loser for not doing enough. When I got home, I sat in the driveway for a while, staring at nothing. The bag of presents was still in the car, and the sight of them made me sick to my stomach. I had spent weeks picking out just the right things, thinking about what the kids would love, what my parents would appreciate, and for what? To be told I did not belong. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became. This was not just about Christmas or presents. This had been building for years, and I had been too blind, or maybe too willing, to see it. The truth was, I had always been the one Jacob leaned on. When he and Kelly were first married, they got off to a rocky start financially. He was not great at holding down a steady job, and Kelly's part-time work barely covered the basics. I had stepped in to help, thinking it would just be for a little while, a couple of $100 here, a couple of $100 there. I helped with rent once, when they were facing eviction, then later with daycare when their second child was born. But a little while turned into years. Every time Jacob hit a rough patch, the first thing he did was call me. And to be honest, I always said yes, not because I had to, but because I cared about his children. I did not want them to go without, and I did not want to see my brother and his family struggle. Looking back now, I realized that I had created this dynamic. I made it too easy for Jacob to rely on me. And somewhere along the way, it stopped being gratitude and turned into entitlement. And tonight, being shut out of my own family's Christmas because I did not do enough. That was the breaking point. The next morning, I woke up with a clearer head and made a decision. I was done. No more bailing Jacob out. No more endless gifts to make up for his lack of effort. If he wanted his children to have the things I had provided, he could figure it out for himself. It was not an easy decision. Cutting off my brother did not just mean cutting off financial support. It meant risking my relationship with him, with his children, and maybe even with my parents. But I could not go on being treated like an automatic teller machine instead of a brother and a son. I did not reach out to anyone, and they did not reach out to me. I thought maybe they got the message, but I should have known Jacob would not let it go that easily. The silence stretched through New Year's Eve. No phone calls, no texts, nothing. Nothing. I did not hear from my parents, Jacob, or even Kelly. For the first time in years, I spent the holidays completely alone. It was not that I expected them to reach out, but it was a different feeling when midnight came and went, and my phone remained silent. I will not lie, part of me thought about calling. But every time I picked up the phone, I remembered Jacob's smirk, his words. No place for losers. I had been the one holding things together for years, and they had the audacity to treat me like I was disposable. No, if they wanted distance, I would give it to them. By mid-January, I began to feel the change. Kelly had always been quiet, the kind of person who avoided conflict. But one night I got a text from her out of the blue. It was short and to the point. I just wanted to say I am sorry. I do not agree with what happened. Jacob will not hear it from me, but I thought you should know. I sat staring at my phone for a long time, not sure how to respond. On the one hand, it felt good to know that someone in the family saw things for what they were. On the other hand, Kelly had been silent that night, and her apology now felt like too little, too late. I finally replied, I appreciate it, Kelly, but this is not something I can just move on from. She did not push the conversation further, and that was fine with me. Then, in early February, Jacob showed up at my house unannounced. I was in the middle of a work meeting when I heard the knock on the door. I was not expecting anyone, so I ignored it at first, but the knocking did not stop. When I finally opened the door, there he was, Jacob, looking more disheveled and frustrated than I had ever seen him. We need to talk, he said, stepping inside before I could stop him. I crossed my arms. What is this about? He got right to the point. You need to stop acting like this and start helping out again. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I could not believe he meant it. Helping out? You mean pay for your life? I told you I am done with that. He glared at me. You are the one with the money. Do you know how hard it has been for us since you decided to act like this? The kids barely have what they need. Kelly is trying to keep it together, but we cannot do it without your help. I could not believe what I was hearing. Are you listening to yourself right now? You are a grown man, Jacob. You have a wife and children. If you need more money, go out and earn it. It is not my job to solve your problems. You have always helped before. He shot back. Why are you being so selfish now? Selfish? I repeated. You want to talk about being selfish? Let us talk about how you lied to our parents about me, turned them against me, and then banned me from Christmas because I did not spend enough on your kids. And now you are here asking for more? You have got some nerve, Jacob. He started to say something else, but I held up a hand to stop him. We are done here. I am not giving you another dime, and I do not want to hear from you again until you figure out how to act like an adult. He stood there for a moment, glaring at me, before finally storming out. After Jacob stormed out, I thought that would be the end of it for a while. He had maybe complained to my parents, but eventually he would figure out I was not going to back down. I was wrong. 2 days later, I got a call from a number I did not recognize. Normally, I would not have answered, but something told me to pick up. Hello, is this Michael? A man's voice asked. Yeah, who is this? This is Mark Dawson. I am a lawyer. I represent a client who has recently expressed concern about certain financial matters involving your family. Do you have a moment to discuss them? I froze. A lawyer? What financial matters? I cannot go into detail over the phone, he said, his tone overly polite, but it involves financial contributions you have made to your brother, Jacob, and his family, specifically your use of those contributions. Would you be willing to come to my office for a discussion? I did not know what to say. My mind was racing with possibilities, none of them good. Had Jacob taken out a loan in my name? Was he using my information for something shady? Or was this a desperate attempt to guilt me into giving him money again? Who is your client? I finally asked. There was a brief pause. I am afraid I cannot disclose that right now, but I assure you this is not a lawsuit against you. It is more an investigation. Against my better judgment, I agreed to a meeting. Curiosity got the better of me, and I could not shake the feeling that there was more to this than just Jacob being himself. When I walked into Mark Dawson's office the next day, I was not sure what to expect. But as soon as I sat down, he dropped a bombshell. The client I am representing is Kelly, he said, pushing a folder across the desk toward me. I blinked, taken completely by surprise. Kelly. Why would she need a lawyer? Mark folded his hands and watched me closely. She thinks Jacob has been using the money you have given him over the years inappropriately. She has reason to believe he has been hiding money from her and from you. My stomach turned. Hiding money? What do you mean? He opened the folder, revealing copies of bank statements, receipts, and what looked like screenshots of text messages. She suspects that Jacob has been taking your financial contributions and funneling them into a separate account. Based on what she found, he may have been using the money for gambling and other personal expenses, instead of supporting his family. I stared at the documents in disbelief. You are saying all those times I helped him with bills, with his children's school stuff, that money never went to them? Mark nodded solemnly. It seems that way. Kelly discovered this recently and came to me because she did not know what to do. She did not want to involve you at first, but given the circumstances, she thought you should know. I could not believe what I was hearing. Jacob had been playing me all along, taking money I thought was going to help his family and blowing it on who knows what. I did not know whether to feel angry, betrayed, or just plain stupid for not seeing it sooner. Does Kelly have proof? I asked, my voice tense. Mark nodded and pushed the folder closer to me. Take a look for yourself. I leafed through the documents. There were transfers from my account to Jacob's, matching the times I had helped him with emergencies. Then there were withdrawals from his account, large sums going to a separate account in his name. I saw transactions from that account, online gambling sites, expensive restaurants, and even a few hotel stays. Unbelievable, I muttered, shaking my head. And Kelly knew about this? She only recently discovered the second account, Mark explained. She had suspicions for a while, but she did not have access to his banking information until she stumbled across some bank statements he had left out. That is when she contacted me. I sat back, trying to take it all in. Does she want me to do anything, press charges or something? Mark shook his head. Not at this point. She is more focused on protecting herself and the children, but she thought you should know in case Jacob tries to manipulate you further. I let out a bitter laugh. Well, he already tried. He showed up at my house a few days ago, demanding that I start helping again. Mark gave me a knowing look. That goes along with what Kelly told me. It seems Jacob is feeling the pressure now that your financial support has stopped. He may be in even deeper trouble than Kelly knows. I stared at the folder, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to storm over to Jacob's house and confront him, but another part knew that would only give him the satisfaction of knowing he had gotten under my skin. Instead, I asked, what is Kelly up to? Mark hesitated before answering. She is considering her options. She wants to make sure she and the kids are safe, financially and otherwise. If Jacob's behavior escalates, she may file for separation or take other legal action. Hearing this hit me harder than I expected. Kelly had always seemed like the quiet, loyal type, the kind of person who would stick by Jacob no matter what, if even she was willing to walk away. It told me how bad things had gotten. I thanked Mark for his time and left the office with a mixture of emotions, anger at Jacob, sadness for Kelly and the kids, and guilt for not realizing sooner how deep this had gone. But most of all, I felt a strange sense of relief. For the first time in years, I was not carrying Jacob's weight. And now that I knew the truth, there was no way I was going to let him manipulate me again. After I left the lawyer's office, I could not stop thinking about everything I had just learned. The gambling, the hidden money, Kelly quietly planning her next move. It was like a soap opera, except it was my family and I was right in the middle of it. Over the next few days, I kept my distance. I did not call my parents, and I certainly did not reach out to Jacob. But it seemed the silence did not sit well with him because one night, just as I was about to sit down for dinner, my phone lit up with his name. I considered letting it go to voicemail, but something told me to pick it up. "What do you want, Jacob?" He did not waste any time. "We need to talk." His voice was strained, almost desperate. "You said something to Kelly, did not you?" I raised an eyebrow. "What are you talking about? Do not play dumb," he snapped. "She has been acting weird since Christmas, and now she is bringing up lawyers and separation. I know you have been putting ideas in her head." I could not help but laugh. "You think I am the problem? You are the one who lied to her, hid money and gambled it away. If she is tired of your crap, that is on you, not me." There was a moment of silence before Jacob finally said, "You do not know what you are talking about." "Oh, I think I do," I said, my anger bubbling to the surface. "Kelly told me everything, the secret account, the gambling, the money you have been wasting while I have been breaking my back trying to help you." "You are a joke, Jacob." He started to shout, but I did not let him finish. "Here is the thing," I said, cutting him off. "You have used me for the last time. I am done helping you. I am done covering for you. If Kelly leaves you, that is on you. And if you try to drag me into this mess again, I will make sure everyone knows exactly what you have been up to." I hung up before he could answer. My hands were shaking, but it felt good to finally say what I had been holding in for years. The fallout did not last long. The next day, Kelly called me. "Did Jacob call you?" she asked, her voice careful. "Yes," I said. "He was not happy." "Did something happen?" She hesitated before saying, "I confronted him about the gambling and the hidden account. He admitted some of it, but he is still trying to make it sound like it is no big deal." "Are you okay?" I asked. "I am fine," she said, though she did not sound it. "But I am tired of making excuses for him. The kids deserve better." Hearing her say that hit me harder than I expected. I knew things were bad between them, but this felt like the beginning of the end. "Whatever you decide to do, you have my support," I said. "Thank you," she replied quietly. "And I am sorry for everything. You did not deserve the way we treated you at Christmas." I should have said something sooner. We talked for a while, and when we hung up, I felt a strange sense of closure. Jacob had burned every bridge with me, but Kelly and the kids, they were not my enemies. And if she was brave enough to stand up to him, I would not hold a grudge. Still, I could not shake the feeling that Jacob was not done making trouble. A few weeks later, I received a text message from Kelly. It was short, just 3 words: "We are leaving today." I called her immediately, and she explained that she and the kids were moving to another state while Jacob was out of town on a business trip, which I assumed was just another excuse for gambling. She packed up their things, hired a moving van, and left. She did not want him to know where they were going, at least not until she had everything sorted out legally. "I just cannot stay any longer," she said quietly. "I cannot keep pretending this is normal." "What about the rent and everything?" I asked, genuinely curious as to how she was doing it. There was a pause before she admitted, "I was hoping you could help me with that, just for a little while. I hate to ask, but—" "Say no more," I interrupted. "I will cover it." So yes, I ended up helping her and the kids. But for the first time in years, it did not feel like I was being used. It felt like I was finally doing the right thing. Jacob, as expected, went completely crazy when he got back and found the house empty. He called me, ranting and raving about how I had turned Kelly against him and ruined his life. I let him vent for a while before saying, "Maybe if you spent less time gambling and more time being a husband and father, this would not have happened. But hey, good luck with that." Then I hung up. Kelly is doing well now. She has found a steady job. The kids are settling into their new school, and she is finally starting to feel like she is back in control of her life. As for Jacob, I hear he is still blaming everyone but himself. But honestly, it is not my problem anymore. So, there is your happy ending, if you can call it that. Looking back, that Christmas Eve on my parents' porch remains etched in my memory like a wound that refuses to fully heal. I stood there, arms heavy with bags of thoughtfully wrapped presents, my heart brimming with anticipation for what I genuinely believed would be a warm, joyful family gathering. For once, I wasn't rushing. I had planned ahead, selected gifts with care, even added extras for unexpected guests. I felt optimistic, almost lighthearted. Then my mother opened the door and delivered the blow. "We don't want you here this year." Before I could process the words, Jacob's voice sliced through from behind her. "This is no place for losers." The smugness in his tone, the awkward avoidance in my father's eyes, the uncomfortable half-smile on my mother's face, it all crashed over me like ice water. Shock froze me in place. I managed a weak laugh, thinking it must be some twisted joke, but the silence that followed confirmed it wasn't. Humiliation burned hot in my cheeks. Confusion swirled with a sharp, sudden anger. How could they? After everything I'd done? I nodded stiffly, muttered something like, "Fine, if that's how you feel," and retreated to my car, the gifts still clutched in my hands like evidence of a crime I didn't commit. Driving away, I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. The initial numbness gave way to a torrent of emotions I could barely contain. Embarrassment for standing there like a fool. Rage at Jacob's audacity. Deep, aching hurt that my own parents hadn't defended me. But beneath it all, a gnawing self-doubt crept in. Had I become a burden? Was I truly the loser he claimed? Those bags of presents sitting on the passenger seat mocked me. Weeks spent choosing toys the kids would love, practical items for my parents, thoughtful gestures for Jacob and Kelly, all rendered meaningless. I felt naive, used, disposable. For years I had been the safety net, the one who earned more and quietly covered shortfalls, school fees, summer camps, mortgage gaps. I never kept score because I loved them, especially the children. I didn't want them to feel their father's instability. Yet in one cruel moment, my generosity was reframed as inadequacy. I wasn't giving enough, so I didn't belong. The injustice of it twisted like a knife. Returning to the door for answers only deepened the wound. Jacob lounged on the couch, scrolling his phone, grinning as he accused me of slacking off. My mother's awkward remark about my new car, bought on credit, mind you, implied I had money for myself but not for them. The entitlement was breathtaking. I felt a surge of fury mixed with profound sadness. How had we reached this point? I had enabled it, yes, always saying yes, always stepping in, but I never imagined it would breed such ingratitude. Walking out that second time, declaring I was done financing their lives, felt both terrifying and exhilarating. A line had been crossed, and something inside me snapped. No more. The days that followed were a roller coaster of grief and clarity. Christmas alone was quieter than I'd ever known. No laughter, no chaos, no little voices tearing open wrapping paper. The silence was deafening. New Year's Eve came and went without a single message. I sat staring at my phone, part of me hoping for an apology, part of me knowing it wouldn't come. Loneliness settled in heavily, but so did reflection. I mourned the family I thought I had, the one where love was unconditional, where support flowed both ways. Instead, I saw the truth. I had been cast as the provider, my worth measured in dollars. Guilt gnawed at me too. Had my willingness to help prevented Jacob from growing up? Had I inadvertently taught him that consequences were optional because Big Brother would always fix things? I replayed years of transfers, late-night calls for emergencies, and felt foolish for not seeing the pattern sooner. Anger flared brightest when Jacob showed up at my door in February, disheveled and demanding I resume payments. Calling me selfish after he'd orchestrated my exclusion. It was surreal. I laughed in disbelief, then let the rage pour out. I told him exactly what I thought of his lies, his manipulation, his refusal to take responsibility. Slamming the door on him felt cathartic, a declaration of independence. But the real bombshell came later, through Kelly's lawyer, the secret accounts, the gambling, the money I'd sent for bills and children funneled into Jacob's vices. Betrayal hit like a second rejection, deeper and more personal. All those sacrifices. Extra shifts, skipped vacations, tightened budgets, wasted on his addiction while his family struggled. I felt violated, stupid, furious at him and at myself for trusting so blindly. Yet intertwined with rage was pity, for Kelly's quiet endurance, for the kids caught in the fallout, for the brother I once idolized who had fallen so far. Kelly's tentative apology via text stirred complicated feelings. Gratitude that someone acknowledged the wrongness, but also resentment that she'd stayed silent that night. Still, her courage in confronting Jacob, in eventually leaving with the children, earned my respect. When she asked for temporary help to start over, I didn't hesitate. This time it felt different, direct aid to her and the kids, not filtered through Jacob's lies. It restored a sliver of faith in my own judgment. Today, looking back, the dominant emotion is relief, an almost physical lightness. The constant weight of expectation is gone. My finances are mine again. My holidays, though quieter, are peaceful. There's still sorrow for the parents who chose silence, for the brother-sister relationship that may never recover, for the nieces and nephews I miss but now connect with on healthier terms through Kelly. I grieve the illusion of a perfect family, but I no longer carry guilt for setting boundaries. Saying no wasn't selfish, it was self-preservation. Exposing Jacob's deception wasn't vengeance, it was truth. Walking away wasn't losing, it was winning back my dignity, my freedom, my sense of self. This ordeal taught me painful but invaluable lessons. Love shouldn't require exhaustion. Generosity shouldn't breed entitlement. Family isn't defined by blood alone, but by mutual respect. I'm not the loser Jacob branded me. I'm the one who finally stood up, drew the line, and chose peace over pretense. For the first time in years, I feel truly free. Free to spend my money as I wish, free to celebrate holidays without scorekeeping, free to love without being drained. The scars remain, but they remind me of my strength. I've emerged wiser, boundaries firmly in place, heart cautiously open but no longer naive. And that, more than any gift I ever bought, feels like the greatest victory of all.